Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast with three brothers trying to figure everything out, with your hosts Brandon, Colin, and Aaron. On this week's show, are you a finch? Hold on.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey Brandon, how's the rain down there?
Rainy. Holy cow. Man, let me tell you. We had all the rain. Conveniently, yesterday, we were covering floods in science and flash flooding. And then, lo and behold, yesterday afternoon, flash flood warning. So I was like, all right, be on the lookout for this contextual science. And then today, Roaring River is completely underwater. So we
that was scary. They were passing that footage around the department of like, look how fast water rises. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hello. It took me a minute. Susan showed me a Facebook video a little while ago, and it took me a good long while to figure out where exactly I was looking in the park, because it was just so much water. I had to be like, where am I? Oh, it's very unrecognizable. There was so much. So all the trout are now freed. They're
wee.
So I hope it didn't like flood into the. I probably didn't. The pins are up high enough.
Well, that's what we couldn't tell from the video. Is we
I couldn't either, because I saw the video. The video that I saw was further downstream in the park,
sure.
So below the waterfall.
Yeah.
The second waterfall, I think. So they were far. It was further down. So I don't think it was up by the tree pins, but I don't know. So that would be bad.
Yeah. Well, plus it's just yeah. We couldn't tell from some of the videos of how high it got, and I don't think they've reported out yet. At least from the hatchery side of things, what the damage is. They probably won't know until this rate.
Oh no, not till that water goes down some.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, what I think I was looking at was farther down, close to the bridge by the highway. Somewhere between the bridge, like I think it was that first big parking lot when you go down there and you turn left to go up towards the hatchery. But there's that low parking lot down there, kind of on the right side, close to the river where all the fishermen park. But before you get to the old, where you have to buy all the licenses and stuff, the license building, I think that's what I was looking at. So that's pretty far downhill from the trout pins, and they're up at the very top, up by the spring.
Right.
So that's up quite a hill.
Yeah, it's a bit.
So I think. My guess is they're probably okay.
Yeah.
That's probably why they built them up on top of a hill, I had to imagine. So
well, and
this didn't happen.
Route the spring water too far away. So just
yeah, it's right there by the springs. It goes
blam.
So yes. But yeah, it was crazy. It's like, oh dang. They were all like, Miss Funkhauser, you were just talking about flooding, and it's flooding. Did you have anything to do with that? I was like, no, I don't have that.
Why would you think that?
I do not have power. So I did. But our little turnaround, don't drown talk was very applicable yesterday. So.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Aaron, is it floating away in Oklahoma, or is it just here that's like?
No, it was pretty floodsy most of the day. There's been some pictures people have sent in, like from other counties of like, careful of this area. Like, it doesn't look that bad. And it's like flood and no more, buildings. And they're like, oh yeah, I definitely should avoid those areas. So from here at least, it's been it's been drizzy and miserable and wet like all day here. So I haven't left, but apparently all the roads in or around Tulsa have been pretty meh.
Yeah, I don't know when it started raining here. I don't think it was raining when I went to bed at like 11 something last night. But this morning when I woke up, it was definitely raining, like pretty good. And when I was at school first hour, so like 8 o'clock, I was looking at the Weather Channel. And it's like, oh, it's already rained almost 2 inches. I was like, hold on, what? So sometime between like past midnight probably and 8 o'clock in the morning, it had rained 2 inches down here, which is definitely bad. It's so dark outside this morning that like I couldn't, like, it was black outside my classroom windows until sometime after 9 o'clock. It was so cloudy and so much rain was happening. Like it was black out though. That was really weird. I turned the lights off to see a slide for a second. I was like, oh, whoa, okay. Nah, yikes. So I had so yeah, it was a lot of excitement today. Seems to have for now. So that's good.
Hopefully it slowed down for a bit.
Yeah, Roaring River cannot take anymore, so hopefully it stops for a while. But yeah. So I survived that, but how are you?
Oh, we are well. We had a good day today. Lillian completed a tight turn in the driveway on her bike with no training wheels on, so she's very proud of herself.
Hey,
Noah's getting
like
stronger.
Foot down, like motocross, like or like
not quite. But,
okay, that's next week.
Next week. But on Monday we were out on bikes as well, and it was the first time that I have seen this kind of determination in her, where she was trying to make this turn. I mean, it was really tight turn. She can do a big wide turn just fine, but this was kind of a tight, like hairpin turn back around, right? Immediately go back in the opposite direction in our driveway and try and
little chicane action.
Yeah, chicane action. And she kept trying and falling and falling and falling, and she kept saying, "Dad, I just want to do it one more time. Just want to do it one more time. Just want to do it one more time." And it was like 7:20 at night, and we go to bed at 7:30. So it was like, honey, like we have to be done. And she was angry at me because she couldn't keep working on it to meet her goal. And she actually said that. She's like, "Daddy, I'm mad at you for not letting me finish." And was like, then she was upset at herself that she couldn't do it. Like she had the heart and her mind was there of this is what I want to do, but she didn't have the ability just yet. And she was really frustrated at her. So we had to have we had to have a long talk about that's okay, right? That's part of learning something new. We're not always the best at it immediately when we try something, that we need to practice and we need to hone our skills, and that sometimes we might find things that we're not ever going to be good at, but that's okay because we're going to try anyway. It was just
and that's what tomorrow's for.
Yeah, right. And that's what I told her.
Go again.
I was like, we can try again tomorrow. Like this, I'm not telling you to stop forever. We can try it tomorrow. And so we didn't get to it Tuesday, but today we were out there and she did it her first time through. So,
she had time to think about it, right? Plan it out more.
Well,
what was I doing?
We talked about it like I know you're really excited to try this. And then it was, you could see those moments of like, where she was like focusing, but then she'd start to do it and then she'd get excited that she was doing it and then she'd get distracted and then she'd crack. So it was,
yes, that's okay.
It was like the time to celebrate is not
that is the goal.
Or even 3/4 of the way through, or even 99% of the way through the turn. It's whenever you are done with the turn and headed back. Right? So, But that was
true. Nice.
Yeah, it was just an interesting conversation that I wasn't expecting to have at that time. Of like, wow, like you are like this means a lot to you, and you're taking this really, really seriously. And I can see there's a lot of passion in here, especially for a 5-year-old. Like there's a lot of drive here in your eyes. So we need to kind of not necessarily handle it carefully, but just try and have an open conversation about that with her. And she took it just fine. I mean, she's 5, so it was fine. But no, I thought it was a very interesting conversation.
It's pretty interesting to have it with her already. That drive and probably a little bit of stubbornness, I imagine, knowing the rest of the character. What? What? I know, right? Yeah. No. Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. I'm glad she got it down, though. So it's also good, like, that's one of those things, too, like, sometimes, like, failing at things is good for you. Because then you have to do it again. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that, we get so focused on like doing it that we forget about like you said, like you don't have to do it the first time. That's in a lot of regards, that's a very unreasonable expectation to have. But it is our expectation of ourselves and to some extent the larger society. And a lot of times, like exactly perfect the first time. Like what, why? Like that's not feasible, right? Sometimes I talk to my kids in class too, because we'll do notes, we'll do a thing, and be like, all right, time, let's see what you can know from just that. And just like a little silly quiz. It's nothing like, it's just for in the notes, right? It's not like an actual, you know what I mean? Like it's just for notes. And at the beginning of the year, a lot of them like freak out at me. It's like, what do you mean? I was like, all right, listen. Do I expect you to do this exactly perfect the first time we've ever done it?
Right.
No. Stop. No, it's fine. Like, it's okay. We'll get back to it later. Like, we're going to practice more. I just want to see how you got after our first little intro into it, right? Like, it's fine. It's okay. Don't worry. Calm down. So they need that reassurance even when you get older too, right? And because it is okay. Like, yes, this is the first time you've done something. Well, it's okay that you didn't like do the exact perfect thing ever. Like, it's all right. It's fine. And the harder the thing, the more time one should reasonably expect to take to do it. Right? But that gets lost as well, I think, in some cultural mores, whatever. Like the amount of time to do something very good, if it's like really hard, it's still expected to be like, oh, right now. Like, but it's really hard though. So like, why?
Well, and this is kind of why, I don't know, like we try and be very careful with the kind of language that we use when praising either Lillian or Noah, of being very careful to use, you're really good at that. We tend to say a lot more of, man, you work really hard on that. I see you're working really hard to do that. Kind of praising more of the effort than the end result, because right, because we don't want to set that expectation of, you only tell somebody, oh, you're really good at that. Well, the next time they try and they're not good at that, right? Then all of a sudden, what does that mean to them?
Like, oh no.
Right. So,
I think about in the classroom environment as well, right? That kind of language is important, because you need to be encouraging about all aspects of what's happening, not just the final product, right? Like, hey, good work today. You worked well. You did a good job. You like that kind of stuff is what you got to try to focus on. And also, slightly to go along with that mildly tangent, the word easy is illegal in my classroom for sort of the opposite reason, right? So it's outlawed. it's a banned word. You cannot say it for the opposite reason, because people do these things at different speeds. Right.
Yeah.
So somebody will be like, oh man, that was easy. Maybe for you.
Yeah.
But if you say that a lot, and if I acknowledge that, how does that make the kid who didn't do good the first time feel? Right. Now that kid's like, oh man, apparently this is easy, but I didn't do a good job. I struggled. So now their confidence has waned from that, and they feel bad about themselves, and they feel down, and now they don't want to try because like, well, I couldn't do it. So the word easy is illegal, right? We say things like, oh, I felt good about that, or I feel confident about how I handled that, or like, I think I did well. Like that kind of mindset is what I'm going for, and not the, oh man, that was easy, because it makes other people that need more time, it sort of discourages them and gets into their head, and they feel bad about themselves. So I know that might sound silly, but it's illegal. No, easy allowed.
Well, and
it takes, after a while, after they figure it out, right? Somebody will be like, oh man, that was easy. And the kids will call them after a while, like, you can't say that, quit. Like, and so they're like, oh yeah, oh my bad.
But again, what's that doing? It's focusing the attention away from the end result and on the work. By the phrase, I feel confident about that. And that builds some good habits for them as well, of recognizing hard work and where their strengths are, right? And so that they have that, and they can start internalizing a little bit of that versus just saying it's easy. Because then, if it always comes easy to me, then I'm gonna stop trying. And I saw that a lot with students later on, where math was always easy to them, or biology was always, or science, right, was always easy to them. And then they get in a physics class or a Chem 2 class or an upper level ecology class, and all of a sudden it's not easy anymore. And right. And all of a sudden they start to struggle, and it's like, but this has always been easy for me. I don't understand what's going wrong, or what's wrong with me now, what's happening. And you just start to build it. You can avoid that, right? By, instead of saying, I'm confident about this work, you still do the work, and then you can be confident about it at the end.
Yeah, and I think my perspective is partially because that was me 100%, right? Like, but by like senior year, they talk about stuff like, oh man, tell us about your study skills. I was like, what study skills? Like, I don't have them. I listen in class, I take the test, and I get fairly decent grades. So yeah, I don't really have study skills. So that became a problem when I got to college, right? There was finally I had that final moment where I was like, I have no idea what's happening, right? Like, all of a sudden it outpaced my ability, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm stuck. I have not developed any sort of habits or abilities about how to overcome this problem, because I have never faced it before. I have never been confronted with such adversity. And even in high school, when I took like the higher level classes, like they were still like, they weren't, like super simple, but they were manageable to where I didn't really have to do a ton, Yeah. And then I got to college, and there's a couple classes like, oh no, I done a bad. Like, I don't know what's happened here, but I can't cope with this. So yeah, it took me a long time to like learn those skills that other people have more innately, because they've used them longer. Right? I really struggled with like trying to find some sort of methodology that worked for me to be able to study and learn things on my own and apply them in that way that's required at that level. Like it was very hard to do that. because now, of course, you're out of an environment where you would think they would teach you that. But, you know, that's the other thing, right? That's weird about school is like, there's a lot of these innate things that we know now that we just sort of tell the kids, like, study for the test.
Mm.
But like, how? You know what I mean? Like, how does one study? Like, what does that mean? Like, how do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because not everybody does it the same. And like, so like, that's something I think about too in class is, you know, like 6th grade, we take a lot of notes in science because like, there's no way around it. The information that we need to have is vast, right? And it starts getting very detailed, and we need to know like super detailed things. And so we have to learn about how to take notes because we use them later too. Like, we don't take them just for the sake of taking them. We use them, we do stuff with them. But like, I can't expect a 6th grader. Yeah, I can't just come to them and be like, all right, take notes now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've never done it before. Right? They never had to do that. It's never been really expected of them until that moment in my science class. Like, they don't ever do it. It's not an elementary school skill. Right? It's just not.
No, it's not. No.
That's not something you generally do elementary. So when they get to me in middle school times and they're like, all right, we're taking notes today. A lot of them at the beginning of the year are like, what is that? What?
Yeah.
Wow. And they have no idea. All the things, think about all the ways that you take notes. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Think about the ways that you, Aaron, you think about it because Colin has a very hyper detailed methodology that he's developed over the course of eons. Right. But like, we'll come back to Colin's methodology in a minute. But just think about that. If you have to take notes for something, how do you do it? Listeners, you can play along, right? If you are in a meeting or something where you have to write down information, how do you do it? There are many methods and ways to do this, and many people do it differently. But if you're now 12 and someone says, do that, you have absolutely no starting point at all. So I have tried to be really cognizant of the fact that like I have to like give them a way, right? I have to sort of tell them how to organize their notes. I have to like, they do weird stuff. Like if we take notes, some days we take notes, we write down like 3 things, right? Some days we write down a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
But there are some kids who at the beginning of the year, they will just like every day they write on a different piece of paper. Like, what are you doing? You're never going to be able to find these things again, ever.
Yeah.
And I'll say like, you know, for something I'm like, okay, we're going to do some review so we can use our notes, or we're going to do this project and you're going to need your notes to help you. They're going to be like, it's spread out over 75 pages and I can't figure out what to do. So we have to talk about like, how do you organize this? How do you fit it together? Leave lots of space around your stuff. Don't write really small and cram it on the top because you won't be able to reread it when we need it for our project. Like we have to talk about these things. It's very weird, right? It's just a thing that I'm very cognizant of sometimes. And, you know, I try to do that because I know when they get to like 7th and 8th grade, they will have teachers that are going to go, all right, we're taking notes today. And then that's the guidance they're going to get, right? Like, that's it. So we talk about like, we don't always, at the beginning of the year, now it's fine. But like, we talk a lot about like, okay, this is what we're going to write down. And here's why, because this is the important thing we need to know.
Right.
This piece of information right here,
right here,
not this other stuff. Circle, this one,
underline,
like
in bold, in a red circle. Right.
The slides that I have them write down are red. They're color coded.
Nice.
So like red slide means write this down.
Very good. I like that.
So it's like encoded into the thing. And every once in a while, I'll change my mind and be like, nah, we'll skip this one. But, they're still sort of, it's encoded into the color. We'll be like, ooh, hey, we're going to write this down. It's usually like some sort of definition or some sort of like important like information, something like that. Like the key info is that's like, bam, write that down. Okay, now.
Yeah.
But we got to start somewhere. We got to learn about how it works.
Yeah. Well, even that of like recognizing that there are key take-home points. There are pieces of information that are more important than others, right? That starts to develop that critical thinking habit, even at this stage where you're just kind of blatantly telling them like, okay, forget it. You can walk out of this classroom and not have written down a single thing, but make sure you write this down right now. Because that does come.
Yes.
It does come in handy because I think one of the first things that many people try and do with note taking is transcribe. Right, I'm going to write down everything word for word to the best of my ability, and that way it's all there, and I won't have to worry about it. And then like that is really overwhelming.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And, and I've known people who
tried that. I did that for a while, right? Yeah. And it was a bad choice. I know.
and then you have to start, and some of it's tough because I feel like in a classroom setting, it's a little easier because you start to get to know the instructor, right? You get to know the teacher, and some of their habits. If it's just a one-off, it can be a little overwhelming to be like, okay, I have no idea what this person's going to throw out there. I just have a topic title and that's it. And I know that really influenced how I took note was my early years of college were still the time when several professors didn't have PowerPoint, right? So it was just legit. They're just
gonna stand there and shout things at you like Garrigan style, right? That's what I was thinking about too. Like,
yeah. I'm gonna stand here and I have handwritten notes that I put together 28 years ago, and I keep them in a nice little stack. And they'll talk and talk and talk. Yeah. They'll look at the paper, and then they'll turn it, and then they'll start talking again. And then after 5 minutes, they'll look down at their paper, kind of skim it, and go, "Yeah, I got everything." And then they'll turn it, and that's all it is.
Yeah, like, oh no.
And when you are trying to approach that, it does like you have to immediately decide, or you have to go through that process of figuring out what kind of student am I going to be in the classroom. Do I just need to hoover everything down, or as much as I in right now, or am I able to start processing a little bit of this now? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what some people are better at and what some people aren't. And because that's going to determine how you're able to take notes and what you're able to take in. Because there is that process of going, okay, I've got to listen for a little while before I can start taking notes, because I got to figure out what this person's saying. And then I've got to also be actively listening to what they're currently saying so I can keep up with my updates. So it's this whole system. You're right. It takes time to develop, and it's so personal. And I think no two people take notes the exact same way. Even if you get 20 people in a room, they would all take it differently. I was always in awe of the people who drew for notes, right? They would do
like sketchy note things. Yeah,
like sketch notes, because that just boggles my mind of how they're able to do that.
Yes.
So
those are impressive. Some of those are cool looking. Like, I wish I could sketch that good that fast to make my notes make sense, right? Like
right. Yeah. I can't draw. I do a lot of,
like with doodles with labels. I do that a lot. Like, oh, hey, look.
Oh, yeah. I think one of the key things for me when going through science classes was to try and redraw if there's a graph or figure on the PowerPoint or on the board, to redraw it as best as I could and start making my own notes on it. Because as I was redrawing...
Yeah, I do that sometimes for diagrams, for stuff. I'll be like, hey, we're going to draw this. I'll tell everybody, we're going to draw this diagram, and then we'll come back and label it. But we're going to draw this. It'll be great.
Because
that's really good for science, right? It's very helpful.
I can't tell you how many times I would be taking a test, and the answer for the test would be like based off of one of those diagrams. And because I had drawn it and studied it in my own writing and my own labels, like it made a lot more sense, and I was able to bring in a lot more information together. And because you can simplify, I mean, there was even one where it was like, I can either write 14 paragraphs or just redraw the graph that showed this biological response and label it and be done with this essay question,
Yeah.
That's what I did.
It's literally the point of a graph, to distill information into a visual form.
I know. But
it's almost like it's its job.
Because I'm such a visual learner, I had to do that. I had to make my note visual with lots of I remember trying the Cornell method. I don't know. People typically try and do that one where they break the page up into 3 different parts, and there's like the summary at the bottom of each page, and then there's note section.
Yeah. That one never gelled for me, really. Like you put like notes on one part, like key terms on another, and then like summaries. I couldn't. My brain doesn't function in that way.
For me, that was always...
It's an interesting method.
It was always a post-processing method for me. That was a second step. That if I was really struggling with something, I need to condense more information, that's what I would do. I would try and do something like that. But in the class...
Yeah, because I can't summarize on the fly, right? It's like...
that was way too much for me. So
you're right. That's a good step too.
Yeah. I quickly got into just basically an outline where I would just try and summarize key terms in as few sentences or words as possible as I chunked through, leaving plenty of space between them, because I would always go back and add. And I left plenty of space on the sides too for drawing diagrams, drawing pictures.
It took me a long time to figure out the leave a space thing. Because for a long time, I would just cram all my notes like on one piece of paper, right? Yeah. I would be like, I could fit. And after a while, it took me just a long time of being like, man, I wrote that down. Where is it? Like, it just being lost in the sea of pen, right? Like, hands in it here. To be like, aha, perhaps if I left room. Like, I'm an idiot, right? Because I spent years like cramming all this stuff in like my notes, because I was just like so afraid of writing on paper for some reason. This was like a fear of mine, some sort of like weird phobia, only to every year get to the end of the class and have just like pages upon pages upon pages of blank paper at the end of my notebook.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Every time, it never failed. I have all this giant section of pages that were untouched. Yep. And then finally I was like, wait a minute. Instead of using half the notebook and cramming all my stuff in there, perhaps I could spread my notes out so I could read them.
Oh, that was big, right?
I'm very slow sometimes. It's very...
My notes always started, so each class got a notebook, its own notebook, and the notes always started on the next right-hand paper. I never would start the paper on the new notes on the back of a previous notes page. So no matter how far down I was on that page, I immediately went over and started a fresh page on the right-hand side. The main title...
I didn't care about that.
Went up at the top, the date at the upper right with whoever was presenting, and then like a little bit of summary of where we were before, and then I just dove right into the notes of doing an outline with graphs and diagrams. I was also a big multicolored pen person, where I would have a green, blue, red, black, plus a highlighter and a pencil, and on my desk while I was taking notes, so I could, each heading was a title, was a color.
I was also late to the colored game, right? I was just I was a one color pen guy for forever.
Yeah.
It's very late in my college years where I was like, wait a minute. if I have more than one colored pen, I can do things in different colors. So like the thing I finally, by the time I was done with college, finally, and with my teaching degree, I I had decided that my color system went thusly. Normal notes in black, right? Definitions in red. I can't remember what I did with. I had blue and green too. I did homework was written in blue because I just put that in my notes so I would have it. And I did something with green. I can't remember what I did with green, but it had a purpose. That was. It took a long time to get there. It was a struggle. Aaron, what about you? Let's hear about your note taking. I've seen your notebooks, so I know that happens, right?
Well, so mine really took like a really long time to actually develop like a legitimate system. I definitely know in like Garrigan's class, I would just write, draw pictures relatively, that related to whatever we were talking about. So that way, if I needed to look at it real quickly, it'd be like, oh, that's a pyramid. And like, oh, we're talking about the pharaohs. Okay, next thing.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't until like much later in college where I was actually able to have a definitive system. And the one thing that really weirdly helped me was putting dates on everything, because I never put dates on any of the pages, and it really sucked because if we go into like, oh, we're covering chapter blah 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 blah, and that's from like this week to this week, I was actually able to look back and go, crap, it's this page and this page. Now I know like what I'm doing. When I was teaching, and it also kind of fluctuates now with, if I'm doing like history notes, it's a vastly different setup than what I do for my job. Because my job, I weirdly like shorthand, not like shorthand, like, but like, little bitty blips of things. I kind of, don't write full sentences, which is weird, but I'm able to read my notes for what I need to do. But like if I'm taking like history notes on something, I have to do it like a certain way where title, blam, this date, and if it was like a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday class, whatever day it was on, and then like the date, and then dive on into it, because majority of my college career was history professors who were well into their 70s, 80s, who never used technology, and it would take them about 10 minutes of class every morning to get set up with all this projector worked yesterday, why is it not doing it now? Okay, well, let me get that on for you, sir. So it was, I pretty much wrote like 99% of my college career because I didn't really have a choice, because all my professors were old and didn't know how to work anything. So I kind of had to.
History professors become very rambly, right? They're the worst about just like.
I had to pretty much like adapt to my environment, which was I did this or not survive. Like, oh, hey, what did sir? I'm sorry. What did we talk about here? Like, oh, why didn't you write that down? I tried. Like, you want for me. So I had to adapt, which unfortunately it took me a long time to be able to come up with a system that worked for me, and that I'm able to kind of use whenever I was teaching of something like, oh, this is how I was able to do this. This is a much easier system. Hey, watch me go. So
I think environment is a good topic there, because that does really kind of influence what you have to do, because different note taking, you're right, the environment in which you are taking them also is important, because like you said, it's interesting that you brought up you do it differently for different settings. But that kind of makes sense when you start talking about environment, because not every situation requires the same touch.
Right.
Right? And so it's interesting that you bring that up, because I hadn't actually thought about that too much until just right now. But you are right, because like some settings you need like except for your job, just like bullets, details. You don't need sentences. You don't need structure. You just need. That was another thing. It took me a long time to figure out. I was like, I don't have to write in sentences in my notes.
You know what one word that I immediately cut out of all of my note taking is the word the. Right, I just stopped writing them down. You don't
drop articles, right? You don't need those.
All articles. You don't need them when you're taking notes, and it speeds up the hand.
But yeah, it really does. But you're right, Aaron. That like different environments, you need different things. For like your job, you need like details and facts. So just give me. I just need the stuff, right? Just bang, 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 bang. Right. Whereas in a environment like history class, there's a lot of other factors that you're trying to add in your notes, right? You're trying to make connections and have context for some of these things. So you need it to be slightly different and perhaps different looking. I hadn't considered different like looking note styles for different environments as well. That's very interesting.
No, I was just going to say, when you talk about context, for me, it totally does depend on, and I hadn't really thought about that either. So that was a good point, Aaron, of my notes. Whenever I'm in an educational setting, I'm having to actively learn something, versus if I'm trying to apply or get a story from somebody. Like whenever I call biologists, many times I'm asking for a historical perspective about a location or a lot of background information. And I'm kind of my notes there are kind of listening between their words and trying to write down more like, it's the way they talked about that relationship with the landowner seems a little contentious. I need to make sure I note that. Or sounds like something happened here in the past that didn't quite work out. I need to make sure I write that down, and not really a lot of the technical aspects or things that are being laid out. So your purpose, right, for what you're writing notes for is going to kind of, again, dictate what they're going to look like when you're done with them. That's all.
Nice. We've solved it.
Anyway, note taking is hard. And
accidental weird topic tangent for today. Note taking.
Fine. It's that's the whole podcast.
That's true. Speaking of weird tangents, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Both of you. Okay. That has arisen from my classroom this week. Okay, I'm going to set the stage for you. Our school participates in a snack program where a local group brings snacks for all the children of the school to have at the end of the day. Right? It's for it's mostly designed for kids that don't are not able to eat when they go home for financial reasons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a good enough snack that they can take it home or eat it at school, and it's kind of, sustains you, right? It's kind of what the point of it is. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I say that to say it's designed to be healthy stuff, right? It's like lots of fruits and the healthier snacky options, like whole, like vegetable crackers and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we had raisins in our snack yesterday. All right. So we were reading some of the ingredients for the other stuff. So we were talking about that. And we were a bit stumped by the ingredients for raisins. Have you ever looked at the ingredients on a box of raisins?
No.
Nope.
So Do you know what it says? It just says raisins. That's it. So this box contains raisins, right? It says ingredients, and then it says raisins.
Okay.
And we got to thinking about that, and we feel that is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And I want your thoughts on this. This has caused quite a stir in my classroom. We don't feel.
Are you thinking that they should say dried grapes?
I think it should say grape, because that's what a raisin is a grape.
I think it needs to say dried grape, but
could say that too.
Yeah.
But I think it should say grape, because a raisin is not like a thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like a naturally occurring ingredient. Like if you don't go buy a box of pizza and the ingredients don't say pizza. That's the end product. The raisin is the end product, right? Not the starting product, not the ingredient you had to start with. So Is it a grape? Is it a raisin? I made a Schrodinger's raisin or Schrodinger's grape joke in class, and some of the kids actually knew what I was talking about. It was really funny. I was like,
good job.
Yes, I thought so. I want your input on the great raisin controversy.
The great, oh man.
See your thoughts, because I feel like we kind of feel like it's a misleading, because it's what it's made out of.
I mean, my only thought
what do you think?
My only thought is, is chicken of the sea? Is this chicken or is this tuna? Right? If you put, Jessica Simpson. If you put,
yes, very old reference.
Oh, man. If you put grape on the box, I want you to think about just how confused the general American public would be if it said grape.
Are you telling me that the average American person is unaware that a raisin is made from a grape?
I am indeed. I would go out on a limb here that there is I'm not going to say a majority of people, but there are probably a depressingly large amount of people who don't know where raisins come from. I just, it just how
beautiful.
Just how
I smell a new ad campaign, raisin companies.
Well,
we need to,
right?
Education campaign through where these go. I mean, I guess the California raisins were trying to tell us all along. They were saying, I heard it through the grapevine, right? They were trying to educate everybody. They need to bring back that so that we know. We know where it comes.
I mean,
Aaron, what are your thoughts on the great grape or raisin debate?
That has been something that I have never thought about. That has never even come close to having just a blip in my mind. So I always thought raisins were gross, so I've never gone out of my way to look. So the raisin is just an anomaly to me in the first place. So I have no say because I've just never I missed my having a raisin today. So it's just never gassed me. So
well, I wonder if part of this conundrum comes from the fact that off the top of my head, the raisin is the only dried fruit that gets a name change.
Right, because the rest of them are just dried banana or
like dried apricot, dried apple, dried banana, dried dates, right? Whatever. For some reason, the grape to raisin is the only one that warrants a name change. I wonder what that I don't know why dried grape isn't a thing. That's interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. We're going to have to ask that question to autistic creators. We need to figure out where that. Yeah, I thought it was weird because, like, if you see like a, you know, because I was thinking like a dried apricot thing is not going to say like whatever. It's going to say apricots or
dried
like
fruit synonyms. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I guess the
Raisins
prune
are dried
also.
fruit.
The prune also undergoes a name change, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So there's a
dried
second one.
plum. Sultana,
Yeah.
a dried white grape.
Oh, I didn't know that had its own name.
A nut, a dry fruit that grows inside a hard shell on some types of trees and bush. Many kinds of nuts can be eaten. Peppercorn, a small dried fruit.
I also think it's weird that they say things like California seedless raisin. Like, yes, because it was a seedless grape. Like, why? You're not going out on a bush and picking a raisin. Right, that's what it makes it sound like. There's like a raisin tree where you're just going out and they call this fruit.
Right.
It's not how this works. It's very confusing.
Wait a minute.
It's very
weird. Oh no! Wait a minute. I'm having a panic attack here. Because here's the thing, though. There are, quote, raisin farmers. And I want you to think about that for a minute.
How do you have a raisin farmer?
They're called raisin farmers.
What?
Kellogg's.
How does one farm a raisin?
I don't know, but Kellogg's.com has a get to know a raisin farmer.
He puts the raisins in your raisin brand. Is that what's happening right now?
Yes, it is. I just had this flash of like when you said you don't grow a raisin. My brain went, surely they don't call themselves raisin farmers. They've got to just be called grape farmers, right? Nope.
Nope. Oh no! Why?
And now you know why there's confusion, Brandon.
Oh my goodness! I don't understand.
And why it says
this is so weird. Whoa! I don't understand. But it's not just that I was curious by this, so I looked at. I thought it might just. I was wondering if it was just like the raisins that we had. Yeah. But I went online and did a quick search of raisins, and I looked at their labels from images, and they all say that. They all say just raisins.
Now this is interesting. Man, this is very interesting because I was wondering what the etymology of. Did you look up this?
I was getting ready to, but since you've already found it.
Oh, apparently it's what's called a loan word. So where they take something and they kind of reuse what it is from Old French.
Yeah.
Raisin.
Okay.
Raisin means grape in French, and a dried grape is a raisin sec. And so it sounds like they just kind of like in France, if you said a raisin, you would be saying grape. And so they just grape. Took a different word for grape and applied it to the dried grape. So we're just saying grape for raisin, which is kind of weird because raisin means grape when it's a raisin sec, which is the actual raisin that we would think of because it's dried. This is very good.
That's weird. But they dropped off. So the sec means dried instead. So they dropped that off.
Yeah, they dropped that off and just applied it to the actual dried.
Okay. Well, that explains why it undergoes the name change from there. It's weird they did that. That's a very odd thing to borrow from. But, okay. Weird.
Yeah.
So man, all right. Well, that explains that. That's still weird, though. That also explains, I guess, how you could have a raisin farmer if you're speaking French. And you mean grape.
Yeah.
But don't think the modern French word for grape is that. Is it? So
No, because it's from
definitely
Old French, and they in a loan
Old
word is when
French.
you take a word and you don't translate it. You don't try and translate it. You just reuse it.
Yeah, you just keep it similar. Or you just keep the same word over again. But that's really bizarre. Yes, I agree. Huh.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Nope. Modern French is
Yeah, still, that's why I just looked up. Le raisin is grape.
it is.
Okay. So we found another layer to this puzzle. So you can be a raisin farmer, but only in France, not in California. Sorry.
Yeah, so your raisin rights are revoked. Anyway.
It's true. Insert champagne meme here, right? Like,
Right?
It's only called a raisin if it's grown in this region of France. Anywhere else, it's a dried grape. Oh. There we go. So, by that logic, the ingredients label should say grape.
They should.
Because the word means grape.
It does. So,
that's what it should say.
Yep, because it's a grape. It's just a dried grape. Grape. It's grape.
Yeah. So the label should say grapes.
I feel like this was
because that's what it contains
from Inception that they decided. I feel like they started writing this dialogue and they're like, you know what? Actually, let's focus more on the dreams.
No, this is important stuff right here. This is the question we all really want to know the answer to.
This is a public service that we provide.
That's true. Listeners, tell us, first of all, if you've ever even thought about this. Second of all, hello, French listeners. I'm sorry we butchered your language again. Thirdly, we want to know what you think. Should they change the ingredients to say grapes? We want to know what you think. Do you think it should stay the same? Do you think they should change it, or do you not care at all? That's what we want to
Right. They're probably... Who knows? This may spark the international debate that'll, make a new change for 2021.
Next year, they're going to announce the label change, and we're here for it. Mm-hmm. We're pioneering this movement for accuracy in ingredient lists. That's a big thing, right? Right now, especially, accurate ingredient lists are important. We need to know where our food comes from and what's in there. So, here we go. We're adding to the list. It should say grapes. Boom. There we go.
Yes.
All right. I'm glad I got your opinions on this. This is very important.
Happy
discussion.
These international these topics of international intrigue and lay them to rest.
Beautiful. Also, we want to know if how many listeners are out there that are like Aaron, that are like, get your raisins away from me. I don't even care. Stop it. I don't want to think about that.
Or is it a taste, Aaron?
It's a little bit of both. Like, it's just something that, like, I see in a gas station or something, and if I'm like hungry, like, oh man, you know what I really want? Raisins. No, I will find anything else.
That's fair.
To go get. I had raisins in like elementary school as like one of those little tiny like little snack things, and that was enough for me to have. So I don't know really. It's just kind of something that it just never like interested me. It nothing screamed out at me. It's like, oh, what do you need? Raisin. Like, oh, you're right. I do need raisin. None of that was like, oh yeah, you know what you need? Raisin. Like, no, it was this or what I don't know. It was just something that was like, oh yeah, I never liked the taste. I never liked the texture. Like, oh, you can, try to sell me on that it's a grape all you want. Yeah, whatever. It's not a grape. It is, a reincarnated, small potato. I don't care. It's just something that never really like jumped out at me to have. So
that's fair. I will agree that raisins have real strong like elementary school vibes, right?
Oh yeah,
like I have a really strong
little small
boxes,
like, red boxes.
Yeah,
like we got for snack time. Nope, don't want it. Don't want to hear from it. Don't care for it.
Did it bother you that they were always just stuck to the box?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of them had like
you couldn't get them out. It's like, come on.
I guess it was like the stem that was still kind of like attached to it, sort of. Like that, like that getting like caught in my mouth. I just so I never enjoyed it. Never wanted to enjoy it. Never want to enjoy them again. I'm fine with never having a grape or having a sort of thing ever again. I am
That's right, dried grape.
How my
That's
life
right.
is.
So, follow-up question: is that the only dried fruit that you don't like, or do you not like any dried fruits at all?
Oh no, I like dried fried dried bananas. Those are bomb.
True.
I could snack on those like all the time and be fine.
True. Those have a much crispier quality though, so that's kind of a different thing.
And even like some of like the seasoned stuff, like that stuff to me is like, oh, it's actually okay. I can get behind this. Yeah, dried apples also pretty good. I like those.
Okay.
What else? Those are kind of the only two that I will. I the past few times we've gone to the grocery store, I have gone and picked up some sort of bag because that's also what I use for like a little snack. Because there's days where I'm here at work, and I'm literally here like in my house like the entire time, and so like I don't leave, and so I'm like I kind of want something healthy to snack on and
snackerino, yeah, good.
Yeah. So like I'll do that. I think I still have some dried bananas in there also. Yeah, those are the only kind of real two that I'll be like, oh yeah. Like even like people having like little party things, like I don't care. Those still taste good to
me. Okay. Do you pick out the raisins in trail mix? It's like raisins, peanuts, M&Ms, all that stuff.
It has been so long since I've even had trail mix that I can't give you an answer.
Okay. So you just avoid it because there's raisins in it.
Now when I was younger, absolutely. Like going on those little hikes with, you all and dad to like, so like those places, yes, 100%. I don't know really. Like I think if I'm going to like a gas station or something to get some sort of snack, or especially at like baseball when I used to coach, it would always just be like a bag of seeds. Never be trail mix or any of that stuff. But it's just been so long since I've gotten trail mix. I can't tell you like what or how I would eat it now because it's just endless possibilities. Because I can be like, this is gross. I never want this again. So that's just kind of me, really.
There we go. So follow-up question. More tangential relations. I haven't done this in a long time because I haven't gone anywhere in like a year, right? But brought up the gas station snack. So if you are on the road,
nice.
I want to know what is the go-to gas station snack that you try to go for? Do you, because like it's hard sometimes because like they're, you know, some of them are wildly different, but like nowadays there's like a lot of the similar things in there.
Mm-hmm.
So like what is, if you were having to sustain yourself on a small snackerino from a gas station, what is that? What does that look like?
Well,
I want Colin's answer too after this, but I want Aaron's first.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're talking about like straight up food wise, you know, it's got to be something for Quick Trip.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yet.
Yeah, hashtag not sponsored. That is purely a thing that I have learned from Oklahomians. If I'm going somewhere, it's got to be some form of Quick Trip, just because like they just have all those different possibilities of, if I want food now, like especially like when we recently just went up to Missouri last weekend, we stopped at a gas station, and it's mostly just like a healthy little like coffee drink and like some gum and maybe a bag of seeds, and that could but no, when I first started college, it was literally like
finch?
Mountain Dew.
You mean sunflower seeds?
Doritos.
Aaron.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't like seeds?
There's sunflower seeds.
No, I'm not really into that.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
A cardinal.
He's actually a crow.
Yeah, no, that's just just get a little thing of ranch flavored sunflower seeds, pop them in there, and you're good to go.
Oh,
unsurprising.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, like the Starbucks has these little like French vanilla drinks or some sort of energy stuff that we get, or that I get, and if I'm going on like a long road trip, gas stations have those little like Starbucks like glass bottles.
Yeah.
Oh, the Frappuccinos. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, sorry, those.
All right.
I could go.
I was like, what gas stations you go to, man? What is this?
Yeah.
Quick Trip, man. I'm telling you. They got everything.
You don't have that here in Missouri.
Yeah, just go there and pick up whatever those little like what are they called? They're like the little flavored like buffalo sticks. Oh, those are awesome. Those were definitely a must. But yeah, like when I was in college, going somewhere with my best friend, it was literally Mountain Dew, Doritos, bags, mountains of M&Ms, things like that, which we would go through pretty consistently. But yeah, nowadays, since I actually have to take care of my body, it's lighter things. If I have a giant thing of water bottle, or a giant water bottle, 2 miles down the road, I'll probably need to go to the bathroom. So
yeah,
little
pace
sip
it out
here and there.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Other than that, I mean, it's kind of really about it.
All right, Colin, do you do this actually still, or no? First of all, do you get snacks from a gas station ever?
Yeah, every now and then we will.
Okay,
we're running in, and mine is a Naked Juice and a Snickers.
Aha!
Naked Juice
All
Blue
right.
Machine
There we
is
go.
what I like. Snickers.
Nice.
Megan's is typically like a Dr. Pepper and a Slim Jim, and I'm like,
there you go,
weeping in the corner.
That's true. Sort of like, I'm surprised and also impressed that that's her go-to. Like, I like it. I like it. I'm proud of this. I can get behind that. There we go.
I'm like, what are you doing? Because I find Slim Jims it's just so revolting. And she's like, yay!
It's one of those comfort things, right? If you had it, it's one of those deals. Like if you had one when you were a kid, it's just like, yeah.
Well,
but like if you've never had one before, it's not something that you probably want to have in your life, right?
Right. Well, I can't help but think step into a Slim Jim without.
Yeah, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Oh ugh, right? Like the.
That is my perceptions of Slim Jim. So,
I mean, it's still correct. They're still the same color, so it's fine. It's not wrong. That's true. Interesting. Yeah, I used to. So, like, I used to just like straight up. So I haven't done this in a long time, and I do. We should probably put this on the list of things to talk about, the change in the gas station in our lives, because it has become a very different experience from when I was a child. Right. So we're gonna have to add gas station nostalgia to our list. Right by the mall, that would go together nicely. Okay. We can. But yeah, I try to, like, when I was a kid and actually do this. So like, if you go on like long road trips. And you like stop and get snacks, or whatever. I try to like get things from slightly different like family. So like I do sometimes want like a candy bar. It's usually like a Snickers or something, and some kind of like cracker, or perhaps chips, and sometimes some sort of like beef jerky, right? Like kind of encompassing like those families there. Try to get something like that, and usually a soda. When I was a kid, definitely Coke, like all the time. Sometimes now it's different things, but like, yeah, try to get like mixed up. Like, I want something like sweet, and then I need something that's crunchy in my life. Like, I have to have that, right? So I don't know if it's like Chex or like some crackers or something that's like really crunchy. I like to have that. So that's what I used to get, because again, gas stations used to be a simpler affair. And so
now I will say, when I
sometimes also M&M's though, it's strong. That's a strong urge sometimes. Like Aaron.
There's a gas station on Highway 75. It's not a traditional gas station in any sense of the word. Now it's not like, what's that big
do they sell gas
station, like Buc-ee's? Yeah, it's not like Buc-ee's where they have like, it's a mall that has a gas station on it or something.
Oh man,
there's a place called Mondays on Highway 75 heading north to Bartlesville, and that place would like have these mean like cheese tater tots and like cheese sticks, and it's like a good old like trucker gas station, like through and through kind of thing. And it was just like, gas station-y stuff, nothing ever healthy. Like, here's a Monster, here's here's what's the other big thing, like jalapeno bites that they have that they would cook fresh.
Lord.
Yeah, a lot
fresh
of,
in air quotes, right? Like
a lot of the stuff during my time when I was alone, didn't have anyone, didn't really have time to cook. It would be like there, because it would be I'd go to school, run down to practice or a game, and then drive home, and either got the Cherokee Casino that had really good burgers, or Monday's gas station. So you got to take your pick of what you wanted, and that was usually mine. So
I was gonna say, yeah, just again, I think when we do revisit gas stations later, we need to explain the American truck stop gas station to our international listeners, because oh boy, let me tell you, that's a zoo. But ever since I was young, I have been very put off by gas station food. There's a very strong stigma attached to that for me, and so I'm like, maybe like, oh yeah, stop and get like actual food at a gas station. My brain goes, oh no, don't do that. I have a very like negative association with that for whatever reason. I don't think I ever had a particularly negative experience with it, but for some reason, I don't know if it was with my friends or something, but I have a very negative connotation associated with food from a gas station.
Agreed.
So inaccurate as that may be, especially now in the time of the modern gas station, where there's like, it's like a grocery store in there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's different, but like from when I was a kid, like, you want this gas station sandwich? No, you don't. It's not good.
Yeah, gas station burritos were always frowned upon.
Yes, 100%.
Always. Like,
or those hot dogs that have been in that roller for a very suspiciously long amount of time.
yes.
Yeah.
Gas station
one of those?
sushi also frowned upon.
No.
Never get gas station sushi.
That's just a good
I learned
plan.
that the hard way.
Oh gosh, really?
I was hungry. We're on a road trip. Everyone's like, dude, it's sushi. And I was like, yeah, but it's gas station sushi. Like, it can't be that bad. And yeah, I was sick pretty much from like Oklahoma City to like Missouri.
Turns out it was.
Yeah, turns out it was.
Oh.
But it's also kind of like a very unique culture behind gas stations. I know, especially coming home from football games when I was coaching, that would be like the highlight of the trip, even though we got, the snot kicked out of us, 70-0. Like, oh, coach, we're gonna stop at the gas station. Yeah, we're gonna stop. And weirdly enough, a lot of the kids that I coached in my area, that was their only like real source of food for the night. And so,
yeah, especially in rural areas, like, where else are you gonna get
absolutely.
stuff? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And so, like, seeing the excitements on kids, like when we pull up to a quick trip, me, not, coming from a state that doesn't have quick trips really, or knew how big they were down here. I was like, why are these? Why? That's gross. Like, why are these kids excited? And then I'm like, oh, okay, because it's quick trip and there's nothing else to do in this town. So yes. I got you.
There we go.
So little things like that, I always enjoyed or thought that it was just a unique experience with those kids. Like, coach, we're gonna stop at a gas station. I'm like, you're gross. Get away from me. Don't touch me. And then just seeing the amounts of food that some of these places had, like, whoa, I didn't know gas stations had all that. And then checking up with Buc-ee's. Is it called Buc-ee's?
Yep.
Down in Texas?
I have no
Texas
idea.
expert.
It is.
Yeah.
It has like a cult-like following.
Yeah. So if you want to do shopping plus get groceries plus get gas, Buc-ee's. As weird as that sounds.
I mean, it's again very different from our childhood, and we will probably need to revisit this in greater detail later. But all right, there we go. Last topic of the night before we sign off, because this is getting really late. I want to hear about the Cherry Blossom Festival. Aaron, report.
Oh yeah. So it was actually, well, what's the word for it? So the event that we did. It was
a strong
for
start.
The Laura Ingalls Wilder, not memorial, foundation. Where our little event, they had copious amounts of different things that you could have signed up for. They had like a Wilson's Creek Battlefield Expo. They had the great grandchildren of Robert E. Lee and Ulysses S. Grant. That showed up and talked about their ancestors and during their time of the Civil War.
That's crazy.
Ours was you donated it was $25 per ticket for breakfast, and you got to sit, and all that money went to the Laura Ingalls Wilder Foundation, in which they're working on like restoring the Wilder home there in Mansfield. So we did that, and then our speaker, Allison Ingalls. Allison, that doesn't sound right. She played a character on the TV show in the 1970s, and she wrote a book. And I was expecting kind of like, glad to be here in Marshfield, Missouri. Like this lady was popping. She was just vibrant. She like answered like every single question. It was something that I was 100% not expecting. And she talked about the TV show. She talked about her book. She talked about her experience as a child actress growing up like in the 1970s, and like her character in the show Nellie Olson, she like is like a total, not nice lady. She's a, she's kind of like the antagonist throughout the whole series, until kind of the latter end where it's like, oh, I was just lonely and needed a friend the whole time. But like the lady that played her, that's not like her, like that's not her personality. She's like a really sweetheart lady. She's just very kind, and she wrote a book on kind of what you can kind of consider like the Joffrey effect of like, the kid that played Joffrey
Nice.
in Game of Thrones. He's like,
Yeah.
he's like the nicest kid in the world, but everyone thinks he's like a huge like D-bag. No, I'm just, it's a character. Please, I promise I'm nice.
You're like Tom Felton from Harry Potter, right? The guy that plays Draco.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's
And so it's this whole like, but she showed up, like we had breakfast. She talked for like an hour, and then we went over to the one of the centers there in Marshfield, and Shelby got a picture with her. She signed. We bought her book. She signed it. We asked some questions. A lot busier than I expected. There's one kid that was from the Christmas Story. It was the kid that like got his tongue stuck to the pole.
Oh yeah.
He was there.
Funny.
He's like the comedian. There's a bunch of like other people. The festival itself, as cold and miserable as it was, we were there and they were still kind of like setting up, and so we actually didn't do the whole festival the entire time. We kind of just went there for Friday, hung around for a little bit, went to all those signing events and everything, and then we pretty much just spent the rest of the time like in Springfield, at Dad's house. So we didn't, participate a lot, because it was cold and we didn't. Really
That's true. It wasn't a spectacular weekend.
Yes, but as far as like the stuff that Shelby wanted to do, she got a kick out of it because it was just something for her because she's a huge, Laura Ingalls Wilder fan. Some people use the term fangirl, which she 100% is. She loves the books. She loves the TV series. And so we're trying to, get something going to go to the Wilder house up in Minnesota. That sounds about right.
I have no idea.
Yeah, and so like that. It's I don't want to say it's like a pilgrimage thing, but it's kind of a pilgrimage thing.
But it's a pilgrimage thing.
Go to. So
She's definitely got to have a bonnet for that one.
Yes, which she has. But
yes.
But yeah, that's just something that she just loves to do, and something that she was really excited for. And I was just excited because I had no idea what I was expecting, and it was because I was like, I was a famous actress in the 70s. None of you know who I am, but there was like over 100 people that showed up, and like it wasn't as awkward as I thought it was going to be. And the actress who played this person
always
was
good.
Was very like accommodating. She answered all the questions, and there's apparently a few other people from the TV show, but we were really there to see her. It was just fun. It was something I was never expecting to do with anything. So I had a blast as well. And I know Shelby 100% had a ball. So
well, good. I'm glad it was successful.
Hey.
Yes, and then we spent most of the rest of the weekend like shopping and hanging out with Dad. Shelby drove the tractor. There's a picture I'll find. Colin, I sent you a Snapchat, and you haven't opened my Snapchat in like 2 weeks, you jerk. But
what?
Yeah.
Wow,
what
called out.
Yeah, dude.
What you didn't do.
Yeah, but yeah, so like
dang.
she was so Dad did the typical like, oh, I gotta go mow the lawn, and like, you guys want to help? And Shelby's like, sure. And Dad's like, oh, I jump on the tractor. She's like, what? And so Dad
and then
pulled the tractor.
Aaron got PTSD for mowing the lawn wrong all those times, right? So
it was so Dad, Dad put it in low gear and let Shelby go around the yard. She had a blast, and it was something else like, she's driving a tractor. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's really fun. So she had fun. I had fun. I spent way too much money shopping, so it's not really.
It happens. It's fine.
It didn't come out exactly even, but it was a fun weekend just to get away and do something that I would never in 1,000 years expect that I would do.
Well, good. Glad it was successful. Were there in fact cherry blossoms?
Fake ones.
What? Oh no.
Yeah, so we were in the town, not town center. That is definitely not what it's called. Every town sort of has one where it's like people come to hang out for Civic Center. Does that sound right?
I have. No idea.
They had pictures, and they had fake ones posted. But there was no blossoming anywhere to be found.
I wonder if they got during that big freeze a couple weeks ago that we had.
Probably.
It was all nice and hot, and then that day that it snowed and froze overnight for 2 days. That might have done in the cherry blossoms this year.
Yeah. So we went to the town square, gallivanted around there, and then we went to the Civic Center place. Walked around there for a little bit, autographed, pictures taken, and then we drove to Springfield, went to the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, drove around downtown Springfield for a good chunk of it, and then that was all Friday, or it was Saturday, and then Saturday and Sunday we pretty much just hung out. Oh yeah, Saturday we just spent time just hanging out. We did some shopping. And then we went and left Saturday morning, or Sunday morning. That's what it was. Who's finally responding to my Snapchat? You ruined my streak, Colin.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh dear.
I also had missed some
no idea how important this is.
Too, so.
Oh wow! Oh goodness.
What you do?
When you get you on, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to start now since I haven't done it for this long. I think it's good.
Well, we have wandered to and fro as usual. I appreciate
as we do.
I hope we've.
But as Gandalf says, not all that wander are lost.
No. There's a thread there for sure for some to find, though we may never know. And with that,
it's true.
On that terrible disappointment. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.
Love you too.
Bye.